Hello and welcome everybody to this week's edition of the Travel Coffee Break. I'm Alistair Mackenzie. I will get rid of this bumper screen now. And I've got a panel of guests with me here to talk about gentle walking, cycling and kayaking holidays with Headwater Holidays, who are a tour operator that we've actually had on the Travel Coffee Break before, who specialise in exactly this. And I've got three friends who are bloggers who've all either been on one of these trips or is about to, and they're going to talk about their experiences. I'm also hoping that we might get Malcolm Ginsberg joining us as well. He's, for those of you who know, is a regular panelist on the Travel Coffee Break, and he's currently on a cruise ship in Gibraltar, and his grand plan was to join us from there if he could connect up the dots and the Wi-Fi, but he hasn't yet, so he may suddenly pop up, but we'll just hope that that's going to happen. So let's move on to the Headwater Holidays thingy. Let me introduce the panel. I've got I'm actually going to start with Melanie McAnaw from Headwater Holidays. Melanie, great to see you. You don't have a what we call a lower third banner underneath you, so everybody will just have to know that you are Melanie. Not least because actually your screen, because you're using somebody else's computer, says David, so you're extremely,
even better.
extremely glamorous David. Melanie, explain what your job role is and how you fit into the organisation.
So I'm the marketing and PR executive at Headwater. So I deal with any press trips that we operate. I also deal with all the online and offline marketing for Headwater. So.
Okay. Abigail King, who is on my screen to the left of you, but it'll undoubtedly be for everybody else on the right, is probably the key person in organising this set of trips, because what we've done is actually put together a campaign to mark the 30th anniversary of Headwater Holidays. And I think I've been around for most of the 30 years that you've been around, so I know that you're long-standing. And Abigail is the head of, or one of the joint heads of Captivate Digital Media, which is a blogger group. Transparency declaration here, I'm a member too. And Abigail, it was you who came up with the idea of actually sending some bloggers out to go and try out these trips.
Yeah, that's right. Hi, everybody. I'd worked with Headwater before in an individual capacity, and Captivate as a group of UK bloggers has just been set up in the last year. And I just saw a lot of potential for the two to work together. And when I spoke to Headwater, they mentioned that their 30th birthday was coming up. And the number 30 really sparked the idea in my head for 30 days of travel, which we've got for 30 active days. But also because it linked into my former life when I worked as a doctor, when 30 minutes of exercise was something that we would routinely try and get people to do at least 3 times a week and then at least 5 times a week. And so I just thought it was a nice kind of tie-in altogether of the importance of exercise with having fun and travelling and seeing things in a different way. So the really nice thing about working with Headwater is that we could talk about the idea and develop it together, I think, to find something that really suited the bloggers and the company.
Okay. I've just disappeared off screen, or you've disappeared. Okay, I'm back. The other two we've got, Michael Turtle is a well-known blogger, and Michael, you've been out on a tour with Headwater recently, and Mark Rose is also a videographer, and so have you. Michael, just tell us where it was that you went with Headwater.
Yeah, for a week I was in France in the, I still can't pronounce this properly despite being there for a week, the Dordogne region. Everyone seems to say it slightly differently, but I say Dordogne. Is that right?
Yes. You make it sound like the noise that a ball would make. Dordogne.
Well, that's it. I have trouble with French pronunciation sometimes, but I was in that area there doing a brand new trip, actually, which we can talk about in more detail, but it was a multi-activity trip, so it involved a bit of walking, a bit of cycling, and a bit of kayaking, all rolled into the 1 week.
Excellent. Mark, what about you? You were on a mission, because I think your walks were actually tied in with a theme, weren't they?
Yes, it was a wine trail up the Alsace, up the valley that way. So village to village, through lots of vineyards, lots of wine along the way, castles, that sort of thing. Along me and my wife going along up that trip.
And at the same time, lugging a ton of video equipment.
Yes, yeah. I think it was 4 cameras in total. Stills, video, tripod. Water, all of that on my back. So up mountains in 35 degrees heat some days. So it was not so gentle, but it was fine. It was good.
Wow. I did see there was, because everybody was tweeting images from their trips, and there was a great one of you in the middle of the woods, looking exhausted with a tripod and half a ton of equipment on you. So, and I'm guessing that the shot was probably taken from another tripod. So, yeah, it looked like pretty much hard work. You had your wife with you, didn't you?
Yes. Well, when you've got that amount of kit, it's always good to have someone to help. Although she's actually 5 months pregnant, so couldn't let her carry too much. But I needed somebody, of course, as well to be subject for some of the video. So pretended to do a lot of the wine tasting in her current state. Couldn't get her to lug too much wine, and yeah, lots of nice shots of her walking around forests, things like that.
Well, the whole campaign is really the right word for it. With 5 bloggers, I think it is in total, is all being hashtagged. So it's still going on at the moment. At the moment, we've got Niamh Shields out in France, I think.
Tuscany,
Tuscany. You're right. Yes, Italy. Doing a gastronomic walking tour, which really is the best of both worlds, isn't it? Let's face it. It's eating and fueling yourself up and then going and walking it off. And she's out there now and tweeting, and the hashtag is hashtag 30. That's numerals 30. So hashtag 30 active days. All one word, and you can follow that on Facebook and on probably on Instagram, I think, Abigail, but certainly on Twitter and elsewhere. Melanie, let's come back to you, because I wanted to talk about Headwater. This is what you guys do, isn't it? Headwater have always specialised in that kind of gentle, particularly sort of like in-to-in walking, things like that. How big is the program? What is the range?
So we've currently got around 150 products, if you like. Mainly we operate in France, Italy and Spain. But we've also got some long-haul destinations, Bermuda, the French Caribbean, Cuba.
Bermuda's not that big. Are there enough places to walk to?
It's a 7-day walking trip, and you actually explore the whole island. So we include a bus pass, to make the walks accessible. But yeah, we've got quite a broad range. So it varies from walking holidays, where you have a guide, or self-guided holidays where we give the route notes and maps, which is what these guys have been doing on their trips. And we then have the cycling, which is again self-guided. And in the winter we do cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, winter walking. So there's quite a wide range.
I was surprised when I was looking at the site. If you look at any particular destination, France would be an obvious example, but if you looked at Italy or Austria, and even then narrowed the selection down to, let's just say, walking or just cycling, it's still a huge range of holiday options you've got. I'm amazed that that it's such a broad range.
Yeah, and it's something we're building on, every year. We're currently researching new destinations ready for our brochure in September. So, yeah, we're always, looking for new destinations. As I say, we're at 150, I think, on the last count, or just over. So, yeah, it's growing all the time.
I've put, for those watching, I've put up on the Showcase app. Now, the Showcase app, you should see on your screen a little button in the top right-hand corner. It'll either say Q&A, it'll probably say Q&A, but if you click on that, basically it toggles on the right-hand side of the screen the showcase, or the questions and answers. And I've put the Headwater front page up there, and I've also put one of the other Headwater pages, the one for Mark's tour, which was where is it? Walking holidays in Alsace, so you can get an idea of the kind of things that they're doing. By the way, that Q&A app, if you click it, you can ask questions again on the right-hand side of the panel. If when you click it, it shows you the showcase, then there's another little set of buttons. It's a keypad icon. You wouldn't recognize it. It's a square with lots of dots in it up at the top, and if you click that, it'll switch you between one or the other, so you can ask questions in there. And I'm watching the Q&A panel now. So we've Headwater themselves specialise in exactly that, as we've said, and during the winter months that program switches to you said snowshoeing and winter activities.
Yeah, cross-country skiing. So again, it's the relaxed side of winter activity again. So we don't specialise in downhill. That would be too hardy for us. It's about the cross-country skiing, snowshoeing and winter walking.
We're not talking about the winter program now, but that would warm the cockles of Abby's heart, because I don't think there is any more aerobically efficient exercise than cross-country skiing. Am I right, Abby?
You're probably right. I'm not sure how much fun it looks, to be honest. I quite enjoy just going fast downhill on skis, but perhaps I haven't done the right route yet.
But this thing of being active is something that everybody's on about at the moment, because we know that we're moving into a kind of an obese age, and we have a baby boomer bulge as well of older folk. So these kind of holidays are, I'm guessing, I'm really the perfect thing for either older folk or other groups of people as well. Are they, Abby? Is that right?
I haven't done my trip with these guys for 30 active days yet, but I have gone on 2 other Headwater trips, and I probably was one of the younger people who I met also walking the same route. I think what I really like about trips like this is, for people like me, it doesn't matter so much about age, but it's a deadline. I think, where my kind of good intentions quite often go by the wayside as life gets busier. Whereas when I know I've got something coming up and I'm going to have to be able to walk a certain distance or cycle a certain distance, and that just gives me a nudge to kind of keep in shape most of the time. And the bit that I've been talking about in exercise, one of the things that medics are keen to impart is that actually it doesn't have to be this strenuous, climbing up a hill, cycling wherever, or cross-country skiing. It just needs to be something that gets your heart rate up a little bit. And so I think for a lot of people, having a deadline really helps. Having something that they look forward to helps, and it certainly does for me. In our Captivate group, though, what I think is nice is we've got different sorts of people. So I think Mark, I believe, is in the TA, for example. So I'm guessing.
It used to be.
Yeah, okay. So we've got people with different kind of approaches to keeping fit as well.
Michael, let's come to you, because you did all 3 activities. You were doing cycling and kayaking and walking.
No cross-country skiing, though.
No cross-country skiing.
In the 40-degree heat.
This is
none of it sounds very gentle.
Far from it. It sounds. In those sorts of temperatures, it sounds really quite a struggle. But that said, you've already written up your post on this, and it was really interesting, because I began to sort of understand, on a practical way, how these things work. For a start, it's not a group trip, is it? You're not going with a bunch of other people. It's solo navigation.
Yeah, I think there are some group options that got mentioned just before, but the ones that we're doing are self-guided, so you could book to start pretty much almost any day, because you don't need other people or guides to do it. And the idea is you get essentially a booklet with quite detailed instructions on where you should be walking, or where you should be cycling, or where you should be kayaking, and you're kind of go out for the week and do it. There you go. Abby has an example of it, of the package.
Here's mine for next week.
Oh wow, that's quite.
So you get a booklet on what to expect on the walking. You get a booklet on the area that you're going to, and then you get maps and a lot of instructions because you're going to be making your own way around. Sorry.
No, that's excellent. And I was joking because Mark, you were out there and tweeting about navigating to the next destination, and I sort of joked, well, you're doing it in the old-fashioned way with a map, or you're doing it with your phone, and you were going, no, with a map.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're pretty good in terms of we didn't really have to rely on the map. It's kind of a last resort if you can't really read the directions that Headwater do give you, but they're so good in terms of the rep at the start of the week will sit down, go through the notes, any updates to those routes. They're regularly checked by the reps. They have to do them themselves. So there's a kind of corner by corner guide that you get alongside the map. But I just quite like reading maps, so I try to just do it myself a lot of the time. But you can always refer to what they've written, and they're very good in terms of go down here and then it's this left and then next right and that sort of stuff. So.
And what I quite liked about it is I plugged my destination and my endpoint for the day into my Google Maps on my phone just in case, and I realised that as I followed the directions that Headwater had given me, it was taking me a completely different way. But this is a good thing because the route isn't the quickest route. It's not, we'll get you from A to B, so follow this road. It's sort of been designed in such a way that you, in my case, go through some cute little hamlets, and then you end up walking through a forest on a sort of off the beaten path rather than down the main highway. And so you get in my case at least, diverse range of scenery. You go into some interesting towns and hamlets. There are some places to stop along the way, and you avoid dangerous roads or boring sunny roads or whatever the case may be.
When you wrote it up, and by the way, I slightly messed up the showcase just now because I actually put up your post, Michael, instead of the two Headwater front page and Headwater page with Mark's trip on it. I've put them all up now so everybody can see them. But on your post, if you're viewing and you want to read it, you really should, because you talk about how that sort of timescale thing meant that you could actually do it at your pace, and so you could linger longer in places that you liked. All you had to do basically was get to the hotel before it got dark, essentially.
Yeah, that's it, and I found that particularly good. I mean, I suppose I had a multi-activity trip, so mine was maybe slightly different than some of the others. Because I think you would do a cycling trip if you liked cycling, and you would do a walking trip if you liked walking. In my case, I had all three, and although all three activities were enjoyable, I'm really glad I had a mix. The reality is that some of those activities I enjoy more than others, and so cycling up a hill in 40 degrees, you can probably guess which end of the spectrum that fits into. But the great thing was, I mean, it's obviously not always that hot in France. We had a bit of a heat wave last week. But the good thing was, I had no one else with me. I had no pressure to be anywhere at any particular time, so I just took that slowly. I stopped regularly to drink water. I'd find some nice little places to take photos. I'd find shady spots to have a rest. So that way I could do it. I could do it however I wanted. And as you can see here, I took lots of excuses just to take photos.
You took some fabulous photos.
Yeah, thanks. There's me on the bike. Finding another excuse to stop. And the kayaking was the same. I really loved the kayaking. It was so nice. The great thing about kayaking is the river does half the work for you. And so there were lots of times where I'd be like, I'm just going to put this paddle down here for a little bit and float and look at the scenery. And, So that was really nice.
And it's cooler.
Yeah, it was great. Oh, the kayaking was beautiful. I got a kayaking.
The other thing that I picked up in your... Oh, here we are.
There we go, a bit of kayaking. Look at that scenery, so nice.
Wow. Which river is this?
It's the Dordogne.
It is the Dordogne. Oh, it's the Dordogne. Okay. one of the other things I picked up in your post was the kind of the range of, we were talking earlier about who they would be suitable for, but you were talking in slightly more detail about how, particularly for the multi-activity trips, families would are definitely the kind of people who would go on, and you were talking about other kind of groups that this would be good for.
Yeah, well, I mean, family I mentioned because that was sort of some of the things that came out when I was chatting with people when I was there, that families would go on, say, a kayaking trip for 8 days, but the kids get a little bit sick of kayaking by the 4th or the 5th or the 6th day or whatever the case may be. But being able to do a few days of kayaking, a couple of days of cycling, a day or two of walking, particularly kept kids happy. Yeah, I mean, the sort of things I mentioned in my post are that, as Abby said, it seemed to be a slightly older crowd, but I think older in the sense of people that just don't want to have to do a lot of the logistics themselves. I think that's really one of the things I realised was so great about the company, but also to the way that this trip was done. While I was off walking for a day or cycling for a day or kayaking for a day, someone came and picked up my bag and took it to the next hotel for me, so I didn't have to lug that with me on a bike. Abby showed you the booklet. Like, all the hotels are booked in advance for you. You get instructions on how to get there. The meals, in my case, were all provided at the hotel. In that little booklet I got, it had my plane tickets, it had my train tickets to get from the airport to the Dordogne. So, I mean, it was something that, I think these packages are probably more expensive than organising it yourself or finding some sort of backpackery, student, adventure-y, true adventure-y kind of option. But for even a young professional, but even, working age, 50s or 60s, or even retirees, youngish retirees who can walk 20 kilometres in a day, they don't want to have the hassle of having to find all these hotels themselves and spend days on the internet. It's just all done for you.
Yes, you were making that point in the post, that you at first you were looking at the price and thinking, that's a bit pricey, but then when you added in all of what you get for it, all of the hotels, and the hotels looked spectacular. I don't know if I mean, that's the way you felt about it. I thought some of them looked absolutely amazing. Mark, what about your hotels? Were they equally?
Yeah. Let's see if I can. Actually, I've got a picture here. See if I can show you the first one that we stayed in. There you go. Can you see that?
Seeing. Hold on. Let's get it back up. Oh yeah. Yeah, that is right.
So you stay, about 400-year-old.
Yeah.
Been a hotel since the 1600s. Very nice. Some very nice nice hotels, and ones with swimming pools and jacuzzis, and lovely.
And that was Michael. That was your point. You were saying when you add in all the components, and then all of the people involved. So you got support on the ground. You got people who are driving your bags and your bikes and your kayak, and I'm guessing as well, from one hotel to the next, so you don't have to carry them, and all of the organisation. It all begins to actually make sense and come out quite cheap.
Yeah, and did you mention meals there? I can't remember if you mentioned meals just now. I was trying to show my hotel photos. See, look at this one.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey,
Yeah.
That's the inside. Wow.
Yeah, isn't that fantastic?
That's a great one, that one. But yes, sorry, I'll stop showing that one. But in my case, all the meals were included as well, and I think these hotels have been chosen not just because they were nice hotels, but because they had these restaurants attached to them that had sort of really high quality. Hang on, I was going to show you a photo. Really high quality kind of meal to go along with it, and I've got to say, there's nothing better than after a long day of walking around to be able to go and have a restaurant that's right next to your room, essentially, that has these kind of meals. And sorry, I was doing two things at once, trying to find an example of a meal for you. Look at that. I mean, these are sort of very nice, high quality kind of meals that you're getting there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. So you want that just now. Yeah.
Yeah, that is excellent. And what about the welcome? Did the hoteliers, because these are by and large they're small hotels, usually family run. Many of them. I'm guessing, Melanie, you must be absolutely bursting to get in here because we've been talking about your product in detail all the way through.
What have we said wrong?
But I'm guessing that the relationship between Headwater and some of the hoteliers is long term and has been for long term for some time. So did you guys? I mean, Mark and Michael, did you guys feel that you got a special welcome from the hoteliers that you pulled up at night?
Well, I mean, I just showed you a photo of it. No. I mean, yes.
Well, I'll take that as a no then. Okay.
No. I was just going to say, I showed you that photo of the chateau, and I came in wearing wet shorts, carrying a paddle, and a bag full of like water bottles and stuff. And they were very good to me. But I was like, I think maybe there should be like a servant's entrance for me to come in today.
I felt the same in Portugal, yeah. I remember turning up thinking I just do not, I feel too embarrassed to come and check in.
Well, they're used to it, don't worry, they're used to it.
Melanie, there must be, like I say, you must be chomping at the bit because we've been talking in detail. Are their descriptions pretty accurate of the way that most of your holidays run?
The descriptions is in the
yeah, the itineraries and the general, the general way that it works and all of that. Yeah, and we were talking about price as well and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think to be fair, what Michael's saying, when you you look at the price, if you just take the price, they do appear expensive. We know that. It's when you take into account that we researched each of the hotels and we put the trip together so that. As Michael said, again, you're not just going the quickest route, you're taking the scenic route, the luggage is transported for you. And again, with the hotels, we always try to pick family-run, small hotels, normally sort of 30 rooms, so they're quite intimate and friendly, and emphasis is always on food. So when you cost it, when you price everything in and you put it, we've done all the hard work for you so you can go and, just enjoy the relaxed activity.
Even though they don't get the welcome, because in fact the hoteliers are going, oh my God, we got another Headwater. Let's book the carpet cleaner for tomorrow, guys.
There's the sound on the way in.
Mark, tell your trip. Just take us through where you went and what you did.
Yeah, so we went to the Alsace region. For those who don't know, it's kind of wedged between North France, northeast France, between it's the bit that's kind of gone to and fro over the many years between France and Germany. So the region itself is quite unique to France. It's got a lot of Germanic influences. The buildings are quite different to what I've seen before, and that goes with the food as well. So a lot of sort of sauerkraut, pork knuckle, those kind of foods, dried meats, which is a bit different to, like I said, to what you normally get in France. So we started off in just north of the town of Colmar, and we spent 4 days total walking up from village to village, a little bit of vineyards, a bit of forests, some castles. The whole region is actually very famous for being a white wine producing area. Mm-hmm. So lots of vineyards as far as the eye can see, and lots of family-run vineyard wine cellars that we would go and stop in, some of them stretching back 400 years or so, where you can go and sample the wine. You can talk to the guy who's grown it. He can tell you about the benefits of this one as opposed to this one, and this was a good year, this one wasn't so much a good year, and you get to have it all spread out, and you can taste it, and then you can go away with a created wine. And one of the real advantages to doing it with Headwater actually is that you can actually get the rep to come and pick up your created wine, so you can go on your walk and buy 4 bottles and not have to worry about lugging it the next 5 miles, or cases, exactly. Well, the rep we were said she had one guy who came in and bought 30 cases. 30 cases, can you imagine? But we were limited, obviously, coming back on a plane, but so we brought a couple of bottles. But no, so that was great, having that service provided, as well as obviously the backdrop from hotel to hotel, was lovely, really nice.
Excellent. Melanie, wine seems to feature a lot in your programme.
Yeah, it does. Yes.
Also
Yes.
good to know.
Yeah, there's nothing. You know, basically, a lot of the regions we go to, and you know, they're famous for the wines. In Brittany, in France, we actually do a cider service there because cider's a lot more popular. So it's the same way as Mark just, you know, said about how we transport it, but it's transporting the cider. So yeah, there's you know, it features heavily. I think it'd be fair to say, you know, the researchers here at Headwater, that is a key emphasis for them. So.
Just think about the themes, because some are themed. Some are, you know, the one that, for example, that Niamh is on at the moment is a gastronomic tour, and the idea is that it focuses on local foods and wines and so on. But are there other themes as well? There's historic themes, or you know,
yeah, they all generally have a theme. We don't. I mean, the one that Niamh's on now is a gastronomic holiday. So again, yeah, that is very foodie, and we do feature a few of those. But generally, the holidays are all sort of interest packed. So it may be something that, you know, an historical route. It may be coastal routes that we look at. So there's always an emphasis, you know, of some kind on the holidays, but we don't necessarily name them all to tie in with that, if that makes sense.
Okay, and what would you say is the most sort of unusual theme? I mean, how extreme does it go? How detailed? How niche? How?
They're not so really. So the general, I suppose, the elements of the holiday are definitely the food and the wine, the region. So we do offer some sort of unknown regions, you know, people haven't particularly heard of. So we're now offering Carinthia, which is in Austria. So again, it's off the beaten track destinations. So I'd probably say the gastronomic are quite a highlight for a lot of people because it's quite a key. We find our sort of repeat customers, of which we have probably 55% repeat customers. They like the food and the wine sort of elements of our holiday, so that's kind of why that's continued to grow.
One of the characteristics of ATO companies, and Headwater is an ATO company, the Association of Independent Tour Operators, is that they tend to be small specialist companies. Again, rather like the hotels, very often they're family run, or you know, they are independent and very good at what they do, and they build up a terrific loyalty. And in your 30 years, I'm guessing you've done exactly the same. And so there comes a moment fairly early on when a lot of the program kind of gets dictated by your existing clients who say, oh, we love going to this part of France. Do you do, by any chance, the hills in Tuscany, or the mountains, the Harz Mountains in Germany, or wherever? So is that what's happened with your program? Has it grown organically like that?
Yeah, exactly that. And so basically, every time someone gets back from a trip, we send out a questionnaire to the customer, and generally we will ask where they've been recently, where they would like to go, and that's where we then look at researching for the following year. So we do, you know, we work quite closely. We also have like a customer panel, which we speak with customers, and they give us their ideas and suggestions for future trips. So that's kind of how we, you know, we've got to where we are really.
Okay. Speaking of future trips, Abby, you've yet to go on yours. It's next week, I think, isn't it?
Yes, next week. But I have also done with Headwater away from Captivate. I two quite contrasting trips. One was along the Amalfi Coast, walking, but staying, you know, very glamorous places. And the other one was about a month or so ago, was along the coast in Portugal, through really quite a remote area, walking again, but a complete contrast in terms of you hardly saw anybody during the day, and if there was a theme, I suppose it was probably bird watching there for the places that we stayed, and again because it was so quiet. So I have got those two, and then next week I'm off to Austria cycling.
Cycling. And where will that? Well, just sorry, wind back to the one you were talking about. The trip in Portugal, was that north or south? Was that a?
It was in the Alentejo. I've got nervousness about pronunciation again now. Yeah.
Oh, okay, excellent. Yeah. Yeah. The one you're doing though, the one in Austria, that's I think around the lakes. Is that right?
Yeah, flying into Salzburg, and I'm doing a sort of shorter version. I'll probably show you exactly where it is. Actually, there is.
It's cycling throughout. It's not a mixture like like
all,
turtles.
all cycling. So it'll be my first cycling one. I've done walking before.
Melanie, while she's looking for that, I'm reminded that some operators, and you may be one of them, do offer electric bikes as well as ordinary bikes. Is that the case? I'm not commenting on Abigail's health standards.
Darling.
Yeah, they're great fun. Yeah, we've introduced them in a few different regions now, and they've gone down a storm. Particularly with couples, so you get the husband wanting to go off and cycle, whereas some wives, they're wanting to, they can't keep up the same, or they feel like they can't keep up the same. So we give them an electric bike, and they can then overtake the husband and leave leave them covered in the dust.
I can see Michael Turtle sitting there going, "Damn, I didn't know about this."
Well, there were some people who were travelling through the region at the same time as me, and I saw them the day before. The next day, the Headwater rep was there, and I said, "Oh, I didn't expect you to see you here this morning." He's like, "They've swapped to electric bikes."
Ah, okay. Well, that's good to know.
So show us your map, Abby.
The map's probably a bit too complicated, but Monzi is where I start.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to look a bit small on it.
I'm trying to think in my head where we're talking about, but is it the top end of Lake Garda? Is that where we're talking about? It's in Italy, isn't it? Anyway.
Near Salzburg.
Near Salzburg. Okay. Yeah. All right. It'll be okay. Right. So it's right up in the mountains. All right. Okay. Let's pretty much call it a day there. Malcolm hasn't been able to join us. But before we close off, I just wanted to ask you two boys, what were your best moments on your trips? Michael, what was your favourite when you look back?
Good question. I mean, I mentioned earlier how kayaking generally, I think, was my favourite activity, but my favourite moment, I think, was when I came across this. Because I had done so little research, I got sent off to this place called Rocamadour, and I'm like, what is this place? I'll just go and check it out. And I get there, and it's this enormous religious complex on a cliff that is apparently very famous, but I just didn't know about.
Yeah.
So I cycle up, I'm like, what am I looking for? What is it to do in this town? And then I saw that, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I guess that's why the instructions had me come here. And so, yeah, so I sort of spent a couple of hours exploring that, walking up and down the cliff and seeing all the bits. It's really cool. Do you know, Alistair? Do you know Rocamadour?
No, I didn't know. I didn't at all. But I love that element of discovery. I mean, that's again what when we were talking about, the value for money thing. Melanie was talking about how much effort they put into research. That's where it shows up, because you wouldn't have found that otherwise.
Well, it is apparently the 5th or 6th most popular tourist site in France, I've since read. But you're right, I wouldn't have found it.
Well, we know. We're just travel journalists. What about you, Mark? What was your best take-home moment?
I think the jacuzzi in the hotel on the 3rd day was pretty good. That's got to be up there. No, I think actually it was coming down on the 2nd day, which was the hottest day, down the forest, and then just suddenly opening out onto the plain. Let's see if I can show you. That. Coming out onto the plain. You got that there?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming out onto the plain, vineyard stretched out, you can see where you've come from, see where you're about to go, knowing that you've got a nice village just waiting for you with a nice cold wine at the end of it. So that kind of happened every day, actually, having that kind of reveal of your location. You go up into the forest or along the side, and you come down and you're like, oh, that's where I'm going to go. And just that, nice expansive views, which for me as a video guy is always quite nice to, anything that looks good on camera, I'm going to like it. So,
excellent. Melanie, anything that we've missed?
I was hoping there would be, but I think everything's been covered. No, I think between Michael and Mark, they've covered most things, and as Abby says, she's going to be exploring next week in Austria. So yeah, I think you've pretty much.
Oh yeah, I love the idea of, as Michael puts it, of discovery on these trips. I think that's really good, and also reading through some of our colleagues' tweets and so on, you get this sense of kind of how can I put it? Effort and reward. Throughout the day, all the tweets are kind of peppered with, "Oh God, the temperature is whatever." And Niamh was tweeting a couple of hours ago about what a way to end the final 50 meters of her uphill walk was being pursued by a cat. Some old woman's dog, rather, yappy dog. And you think, yeah, it's all about kind of putting the effort and then getting the reward, and the reward comes either in the relaxation of the hotel at the end of the day, or it's in things like those views that Mark was showing. And
definitely the views, the evening meals, the plenty of wine opportunities, and yeah, definitely the hotels are the
cool. All right. I think they sound great. I think, Abby, you're going to have a fabulous time next week, and we look forward to hearing about it. For those watching, you can follow Abby's progress with the hashtag 30activedays, and yeah, it sounds fantastic. I'm going to have to go on one of these things myself. Next week is going to be. It's going to be interesting because next week there is a small company called Time Looper who are launching their app in London, which is a virtual reality app. Essentially, it's something that you can take to locations. We're going to be seeing it at the Tower of London and one or two other spots, and hold it up and in effect see the place that you're looking at, but back in history. So with if you were in the Colosseum with gladiators or whatever it might be. And that's going to be rather interesting. And I'm going to have the guys who've designed and built this app join me literally a couple of hours before they launch it publicly on Wednesday next week. So do join me then for that. Sorry we haven't got Malcolm for you, but obviously the Gibraltarian Wi-Fi wasn't quite up to what he was hoping. But another time anyway. And to you guys, thanks ever so much for joining me. And see everybody else next week. Bye for now.
Thanks.